welcome back to card number 2 for this month's card tutorials. So today we're gonna do a little chocolate box, and when I saw this in the catalog, I really love that stem set. So the stem set comes, you can get this just as a stem set, or you can get it with the matching dies. And the dies are the box, and then you have a couple of those chocolate pralines, and there are actually 2, so there's a die for each of them, but you know, this one uses the same die, this one uses the same die, and these 2 are the same. So you can choose whichever one you want. And it does, so when you look at this box and the way it is cutting, I just want to show you. So it cuts the outside of the box, and then it also cuts this slit here. And the purpose of this is to be able to tuck your little goodies behind, so it looks like a real box. So when you stamp it and cut it out, or vice versa, this is the opening here, as you can see. So you can tuck your pralines right behind here. So it gives you the impression that they're really sitting inside the box, which I think is really great. So if you think about the stem set and you go like, well, you know, I love the set, I don't really do dies, or I don't really need them, there is a way around them. So what we're gonna do today is you will actually hand cut the pralines, because I did them for class, and I did some embossing and everything, so I figured they can cut them by hand because it's easy. The shapes are really easy to do. The same as if you would stamp this box, and you have the stamp for the box right here. You can do this yourself, and then the only thing you might have to do is use like the Versamat or a glass mat or anything that is self-healing, where you can use an X-Acto knife on it, and you need a ruler, and then you just after you cut it out with your scissors, you cut this L shape in yourself. So pretty much take your knife and then run it down here and run it on this side, and then you have the same effect if you don't want the dies with the set. I got both, so it was just easier. And the set is Z4687. And I show you them in the catalog in a second. They're really cute. So these are in the back here. There they are. So this is the stem set. It's on page 50. And like I said, you can get them without the dies or with the dies. And it's got some really fun phrases too. I couldn't give up chocolate, but I'm not a quitter. I could give up chocolate, but I'm not a quitter. There is no we in chocolate. There's nothing better than a good friend, except a good friend with chocolate, and the secret ingredient is always chocolate. So it's just a fun set to have. And here are some card samples. And actually, I saw this one, and I forgot to check, but I will post it below. I saw this in the catalog. I thought this is actually kind of fun. So I kind of went with the color scheme a little bit here, but I changed mine up a little bit because I not always have enough papers for my class projects, because I have so many. So one thing for sure was this one here. So I love the polka dot background, but as you know, they come in 12 by 12 sheets. So if I would cut this out for a whole background, we're talking about 4 pieces per sheet, and I have over 25, 26 card sets that I have to make. So I have to get a whole bunch of just that paper to be able to cut everybody's full for the full cover. So I changed it up a little bit. I just cut stripes of the polka dot paper. So there are 2 stripes you will see when we assemble it. Then we have our middle piece, and then instead of this polka dot, I just used a regular one that I had in my stash from the Mix-In Papers. And as you can see, the box is about, I would say it's the same size card, but I will double check because this one looked for me a little bit bigger at the beginning, but I think it's the same size. So the card fits nicely on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card. I mean, if you have a bigger one, we have new in the program now, the 5x7, you have even more room to decorate, but I think this just works. And then I needed a little bit of sparkle on here, so we did a little bit of glitter paper, brown glitter paper or mocha. And so these ones here are stamped in white, or they are actually embossed in white embossing powder, which is nice because it gives you a little bit of texture. And I did mine a little bit different. So the chocolate ones I actually stamped in white and put just clear embossing powder over. And I think my white ink pad might get a little bit old, so I have to see that I get a new one. And then this one is stamped in mocha on a light cream color cardstock. And then I used the Stickles, and this is the platinum one that I used. And just in a couple of spots, let it dry, and not really thick, so it really just gives it a little shine. All right, so let's get to it. When you pull out your pieces, there's quite a few. So the inside is stamped, so make sure before you start assembling that you have this in the right direction. Here are pieces that we need to cut out. There's our little strip, here's our little box, and here are the other two pieces. So I haven't stamped mine yet. Here's a little trick. If you're new to card making, or you're sometimes having trouble getting the first impression right, and you don't have a stamp MISTI or a stamp positioner to work with, it is hard to line them up if you're new to stamping. So instead of trying that, here's what you want to do. You want to take your stamp, for example, my inside stamp. And if it's a new one, you want to ink it up a couple of times, stamp it off on a piece of scrap paper. Try and see how it feels when you stamp it. Look at your stamp when you ink it up and make sure you have enough ink everywhere. And then when you stamp it, go straight down and straight back. Wait a couple seconds, straight up. And start with your inside first. If this, for whatever reason, not turn out, what you could do is you just fold the card the other way, and then you stamp your inside again. This will be completely covered in our case here, so nobody will see that there was a boo-boo underneath. But this is always a little trick to start. Stamp this first. If it doesn't turn out, fold it over. This only works if the paper that you're adhering to the front will be covering up most of this front. If you have strips or you have a lot of white showing, that might not work, so just be mindful with that. But that's always a nice thing to have if you have struggling with the stamping. And we will do the same thing. And in this case, I will not use my pouch underneath. This is a nice spongy surface, but we're supposed to stamp the stamp down here. And as you can see, when I put the paper down here, so I'm not gluing it down right now. I just want to see how much room I have. So this is where my stamp goes. And again, if you're new to stamping, so these ones are just placed on glass blocks, and they clinch to them on their own. And when you look see-through and you can read everything, you have it the right way. So this is how it should work. And it should go down here. So one thing you could is remember where you place it, and then just take this piece away and stamp. If you say, well, I'm usually not that good, just leave your base here. I flip this piece over, and you should do the same. Place it where it normally goes. The reason being, I always tell people in class, when you ink up your block, make sure you clean your block before you stamp. Because if you do what most people do, instead of going straight down, they wobble a little bit, you get these edges on your paper. And then there's nothing really much we can do. If this happens in this case, if you should happen to have some ink here and you touch this paper, it's not a big deal because that's the back side, nobody will see. And you always know where you put your stamp. So I'm just inking up, and I know with the delicate letters it's sometimes hard to see, but the thicker ones you can tell if they have enough ink or not. So I see it. The chocolate needs a little bit more. I think we're good. And then I just position it where it needs to go. And I go straight down. Hold it for a couple of seconds. And then I go straight up. And there you have it. If this doesn't turn out for whatever reason, you should be able to just move this up. Try it again. So if this doesn't turn out, we're gonna cover this, or this can be covered, and you try it again here. But this looks pretty good, so we're good with that one. Espresso ink, and then I just use our chamois, clean the block and the ink. All right, but now let's get assembling. Oh wait, we did stamp one more. I stamped one of these on the inside here, so let me do this first before I put this together. And that's just going here in the corner. And we're done with these. So this is espresso is the ink here in this case. All right, so now we're having it the right side around, and the first thing we want to adhere are these strips. Okay, now we're gonna put a little bit of adhesive on here, and then we line them up. I just always look if I have a straight edge from the paper where it was cut. I like to put this on the outside. That's just me. All right, there's number one. And then we put the other one on here. Doing the same thing, I'm just lining it up. And there it is. And again, if you wanted to, you could raise this one up, but I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna adhere this flat to my card front. Okay. When you see the adhesive piling up, sometimes it's because there's adhesive stuck here on this little flap, so I just have to take this off. And it should make for easier rolling off. All right, now this one goes pretty much in the center. So I'm just lining them up here, and then there's like an 1/8 or so. And that looks good. And then we'll take our background paper. And we're just making sure we're leaving a nice even rim around here. And then we're taking a little bit liquid adhesive. And we're putting the strip down here. Might overlap the polka dot paper a little bit, depending on how high you put your stamp image or how much room you left up here, but that's fine. Okay, our card base is done. Here's our box, and I'm not putting the box on quite yet because I want to start cutting out my little goodies here that will be tucked inside. And again, I'm using my scissors and I'm moving my paper for cutting these, and I just leave a little edge. It's up to you if you want to leave a big one or a small one. Just make it even somewhat. I mean, handmade pralines never all look the same. They look very close, but they're all a little bit different. There's one. Now we have the round one here. Same thing. I'm running my paper around here. There's two. And they're really not hard to cut out. So if you opt out of the die and you're just saying, hey, I can just use the stems, like I said, you can do the box and just use an X-Acto knife to cut in that little slit on two sides on your own without having to have the die. It just is easier when you have a die. Right. And if you have markers or watercolor pencils, you could actually give the pralines even more color or interest, but for the sake of time during class, we just leave them as they are. All right, now we got 3 more. These are the chocolate ones. And you get a really nice crisp image if you would use like a Versa watermark ink and then white embossing powder. That would work too. I used our white pigment ink, but like I said, my stamp pad is a very old one. It's probably 10 years old. It still works great, but it might need some refreshing of the ink. Okay. And here's the last one. And the way they are positioned, so I would just follow the image in the catalog pretty much, but you can arrange them any way you want. I just liked how they were stacked, so I just followed this image pretty well. And then I started with, oops, with the ones up here. So this one is stuck a little bit underneath here, and then looking out like this. Then this one here I raised, and you don't have to raise them. You can actually just put them down flat if you wanted to. So then this one goes about here. There we go. Then we have this one goes underneath here, so let's put this one on first. So this one is tucked underneath here too. here. Then we have our little brown chocolate. This kind of sits on top here a little bit. Oops. About here. Now we have this one. So this one overlaps that one a little bit. So I'm just placing my adhesive in this area. And you can put a little bit liquid adhesive or just something here that sticks to this one. So this one goes about here. And this one overlaps that area there. So I just need a couple on this side. Sits like here, and then we have this one here which tucks into, but it's raised on up here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put two here and then put some adhesive down here. So one end is flat while the other one is raised. And there you have it. And now you could adhere the whole thing flat to your card, but what I did was I just put adhesive here on this side. I really have to clean this one here. And then I did put a couple of the foam dots around the edges. Just that little lip here, that little rim that is sticking out. Everything else is gonna be flat, so remove these. And this one can be positioned about here. So this is flat and this one sticks up a little bit. And there is your little praline box. And before we call this a card off, here's my little squirrely. So this one's just, you can do anything. You can do circles, straight lines, if you rather have a straight line going up here and you don't like to do it by hand, use a ruler. It's all up to you how you want to do this. If you wanted to, do a few little dots too. All right, and that is our second card. Again, this was the card in the catalog and the idea book. This is my version for it, and there's so many other ways you can use this. This is the stamp set. And I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any question, if you like to know more about the stems or where to get them or where to get a catalog, please leave me a comment down below. Subscribe to my channel. That will help me to build my YouTube channel, and also tell YouTube that you would like to see more of these kind of videos. And I will see you back here next week with another card tutorial. That's a heavy word. Tutorial. There you go. See you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.